That number on your screen right now is your bank's number. You recognize it. You've seen it on the back of your card, on your statements, probably dozens of times. So when a call arrives and that exact number appears and a calm, professional voice tells you your account has been flagged for suspicious activity, you do what any careful, responsible person would do. You stay on the line. You answer the questions. You cooperate, because that's what you're supposed to do when your bank calls. That instinct, that completely correct feeling instinct, is the precise vulnerability this scam is built around. What you're experiencing in that moment has a name. I call it the silent flag. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to shut it down before it ever costs you $1. Here's what you're going to leave this video with. You're going to understand how someone can call you from your actual bank's phone number without working there, without being near there, without having any access to your account whatsoever. You're going to know how a stranger can describe your last shopping trip in enough detail to sound like they've been watching your finances for weeks. And you're going to walk away with one rule, one single rule you can use in the next 4 seconds if this ever happens to you. That defeats this scam completely, no matter how convincing the voice on the other end sounds. Not a long checklist, not a complicated warning system. One rule that works every time. Because that's what you need, and that's exactly what you're going to have. Here's how the silent flag works, and I want you to stay with me through this because the details matter more than you might expect. It starts with something that is actually true. Banks do flag accounts. Their internal fraud monitoring systems run continuously and generate millions of alerts every single day. Suspicious login attempts, unusual purchase patterns, transactions that appear in 2 different states within a few hours of each other. Most of those alerts are resolved internally or monitored quietly without any notification ever going out to the account holder. So when a caller tells you your account has been flagged for unusual activity, something in your brain registers that as plausible, because statistically, at any given moment, it might be. That feeling of recognition, that instant of, yes, that makes sense, is the exact foundation this entire scam is built on. Now here's where it gets really interesting and really dangerous. That caller isn't at your bank. They're not inside your bank's system. They have no access to your account at all. What they have is 2 tools, both purchased legally online with a credit card and a few minutes of setup time. The first is a service called Caller ID Spoofing. For as little as $3 a month, anyone, no technical background required, no special skills needed, can place a call that displays any phone number they choose on your screen. They looked up the fraud line printed on the back of a standard debit card. They typed it into the spoofing service. That's the entire technical operation behind the number you just trusted with your complete attention. But the second tool is what makes this scam genuinely difficult to defend against. It's called Data Broker Fusion. And it's the layer that makes the silent flag feel impossible to question. Data brokers are legal companies that collect, package, and sell consumer information. Names, home addresses, purchase histories, partial account numbers, the specific stores you visit most often. This information is commercially available in bulk for as little as 15 cents per record. So when that caller says, "I can see you made a purchase at CVS on Monday for $31.14, they're not reading from your bank's internal system. They bought that. Your transaction history is packaged in a commercial database, and someone paid less than a quarter to pull it up and read it back to you in a professional tone. To you, on that call, the bank's real data and the purchase data are completely, utterly indistinguishable. That's not a coincidence. That's the design. And once you believe the caller, the ask arrives. Transfer funds to a secure holding account. Read back your account number. Provide the code just sent to your phone. The only thing standing between them and your money is your cooperation. Most people give it. Barbara is 73 years old. She lives in Columbus, Ohio. On a Tuesday afternoon in early spring, she was sitting at her kitchen table when her phone rang. The screen showed the exact fraud line from the back of her bank card, a number she recognized immediately. The caller introduced himself as a fraud specialist from her bank's security division. He knew her full name. He knew the name of the grocery store where she shops every single week. He told her that 2 charges had been flagged on her account in the past 48 hours, and that, to protect her funds from being frozen, he needed to verify her identity and walk her through a securing process right away. Barbara is not a careless person. She has been attentive and responsible her entire adult life. The caller walked her through it calmly and without any visible pressure. He explained that her bank had a protocol for this, a temporary secure holding account where her funds would be protected while the fraud team completed their investigation. He gave her a case number. He answered every question she had, patiently and professionally, and he stayed on the line with her the entire time. Barbara transferred $14,200. The call ended shortly after. Within 90 minutes, every dollar had moved through a cryptocurrency exchange and was completely unrecoverable. When she called her actual bank the next morning, the real fraud department confirmed what she already feared. The account and the transfer instructions had no connection to her bank. The case number was invented. There was no investigation. A stranger had walked away with $14,200. I want to be very clear about what happened there. Barbara is sharp. She pays attention. She knew scams existed before that call arrived. What she had never been told, what almost no one explains, is that a caller can legally purchase her grocery store transaction for 15 cents and simultaneously display her real bank's phone number on her screen from the same script on the same call. She had no way to detect that because the tools used to make that call indistinguishable from a legitimate one are completely legal and require no technical expertise to use. The scam didn't work because Barbara made a mistake. It worked because it was engineered by professionals whose entire job is to defeat exactly the kind of careful, cooperative, trusting person she is. If you're sitting there thinking you would have done the same thing, that's not a weakness. That's exactly the point. According to the FBI's 2024 Elder Fraud Report, adults 60 and older filed more than 147,000 fraud complaints in a single year, with combined losses exceeding $4.8 billion. That is not a lifetime total. That is 1 year. Bank impersonation scams like the Silent Flag are among the fastest growing categories in that report, increasing year over year as spoofing services become cheaper and consumer data becomes more commercially accessible. The average loss per victim in phone-based bank impersonation fraud now exceeds $9,000. Barbara's loss was nearly 60% above that average, and those figures represent only the cases that ever get formally reported. Researchers estimate that fewer than 1 in 5 victims files a complaint, most often out of shame or simply not knowing where to go. The real scale is almost certainly several times larger than anything on record. And here's the thing. The threat is still evolving. The Silent Flag has begun merging with a technology called AI voice cloning. Using short audio samples pulled from a voicemail greeting, a social media video, or any public recording, fraudsters can now generate synthetic voices that replicate a specific person's tone and speech patterns with alarming accuracy. In the most dangerous hybrid variant now appearing in documented elder fraud cases, a call arrives that sounds like a family member urging you to cooperate with the bank representative also on the line. 2 voices, 2 layers of trust and social pressure, neither of them real. This is no longer experimental technology. It's active, and it's documented across multiple states. The version of the Silent Flag you thought you'd be able to recognize may not sound the way you expect. The voice might be familiar. The person behind it is not. So the question isn't whether this threat is real. It is. The question isn't whether it could reach you. It reaches people exactly like you, in places exactly like yours, every single day. The real question is what you do in the 4 seconds after someone says your bank's name and asks you to stay on the line. Because in those 4 seconds, you have total control over what happens next. The scam cannot function without your cooperation. That is not a small detail. That is the entire architecture of how it works. Every dollar lost, every transfer completed, every drained account started with one thing: someone staying on the line. And there is one rule that removes your cooperation entirely. Let me give it to you right now. The rule is called the hang-up rule, and it works exactly the way it sounds. If you receive any call from someone claiming to be from your bank's fraud department, security division, or any account protection service, you hang up. Not after you gather more information. Not after you decide whether the call sounds real enough. Not after you ask a few questions to be polite. Immediately. Then you find the number on the back of your physical card or on a paper statement. Never from your recent call log. Never from a number the caller gives you. And you call it yourself. That's the entire rule. And here's exactly why it works. Your bank's real fraud department does not need you to stay on the line with the person who just called you. If there's a genuine alert on your account, it will still be there when you call back, every single time. Here's what the Silent Flag needs from you. It needs you to stay on the line. It needs you to accept the caller's framing. That hanging up would be dangerous. That breaking off the call could trigger your account being suspended. That cooperating right now with this specific caller is the only safe path forward. Every element of the script is constructed to make hanging up feel like the wrong choice. And the moment you hang up and call back yourself, the entire mechanism collapses. Because when you dial the real number yourself, you're speaking to the real institution, and that institution has no record of the call you just received, no temporary secure holding account, and no investigation involving your funds. The architecture falls apart the instant you withdraw your cooperation. The hang-up rule doesn't just protect you, it defeats the scam at its only point of vulnerability. Here's the full protocol. Step 1. Hang up immediately, regardless of what the caller says about urgency, case numbers, or the risk of your account being suspended. Step 2. Wait 60 seconds before calling back. Some scammers stay on the open line and can intercept your outgoing call through the same connection. Waiting 60 seconds breaks that link. Step 3. Find the number on the back of your physical card or on a paper statement, never from your recent call log. Step 4. Call that number and say these exact words. I just received a call claiming to be from your fraud department. Can you tell me whether there are any active alerts on my account? That question puts the real bank in control of the conversation. Step 5. If you shared anything during that earlier call, any code, any account detail, any transfer instruction, report it to the representative right away. The first 60 minutes are the most critical. There's also a free resource worth having ready before you ever need it. The FTC's official fraud reporting portal at reportfraud.ftc.gov lets you report suspicious calls and look up phone numbers that other consumers have already flagged. Beyond that, you have the legal right to freeze your credit at all three major bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, for free right now, online. It takes less than 15 minutes. A credit freeze doesn't affect your existing accounts or your credit score. What it does is prevent anyone from opening new credit in your name, which is precisely what some fraudsters do with the personal information they gather on calls like this one. If you haven't done this yet, consider doing it tonight. It's one of the most protective steps available to any consumer. It's completely free, and it requires no ongoing maintenance. Now, I need to say something directly, because this part matters. You might feel rude hanging up on a caller who sounds professional and genuinely concerned about your financial safety. That feeling is completely real, completely understandable, and it is precisely what the silent flag is designed to produce in you. The people who run this operation understand social norms better than almost anyone. They know that careful, polite people hesitate to hang up on someone who sounds official and helpful and worried on your behalf. That hesitation, that moment of not wanting to seem uncooperative or suspicious, is the attack surface. Politeness is not a virtue in this specific moment. In this moment, it is the mechanism by which your account is emptied. Hanging up on a fraudster isn't rude. It is the most intelligent, most self-protective decision you can make, and your real bank will never, ever be offended by it. But what if you already did that? What if right now you're watching this and thinking about a call you received recently, a number that looked right, a voice that sounded official, a conversation that ended with you sharing something or making a transfer you're now questioning? I need you to hear this before anything else. You did not fail. You were not careless. You were targeted by a professional operation that has run this exact script on thousands of people, refined every word of it based on what works, and specifically sought out someone like you, cooperative, attentive, trustworthy, because those qualities are the functional requirements for this scam to succeed. Being targeted is not a reflection of your intelligence. It is a confirmation that you are exactly the kind of person these systems are built to reach. Here's what you do right now if you think you've been compromised. Step 1. Call your bank's real fraud line, the number on the back of your card, and tell them exactly what happened. Ask them to flag your account, reverse any pending transfers if that's still possible, and change your online banking credentials today. Step 2. Report the incident to the FTC at reportfraud.ftc.gov and to the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center at ic3.gov. Both reports create an official record that matters for any investigation that follows. Step 3. Freeze your credit at all three bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, tonight. Step 4. If you provided a verification code or a one-time password, contact your phone carrier and request a SIM lock on your account. Step 5. Monitor your statements daily for the next 30 days. New unauthorized accounts can surface weeks after an initial breach. And once you've done those things, I want you to take a breath. Because moving that quickly, reporting correctly, freezing proactively, contacting the right institutions in the right order, is not the response of someone who was fooled. It is the response of someone who is fully in control of their own situation. You have created an official record. You have narrowed the damage window. You have done what most people in this position never do, because most people are never told what to do or where to go. The bureaus have a freeze in place. Your bank has a flag on the account. The window in which the most damage can be done has been closed significantly. You are not powerless here. You never were. You just needed to know the steps, and now you do. Think right now about the person in your life who would never hang up on a caller who sounded exactly like their bank. You know who that is? Maybe it's a parent. Maybe it's a neighbor who checks in on you every week. Maybe it's a close friend who has been careful their whole life and would stay on that call specifically because cooperating felt like the responsible, thoughtful thing to do. Picture them at their kitchen table, their phone screen showing the real bank number, a calm, professional voice on the other end, and them staying on the line because that's who they are, because hanging up on someone trying to help would feel wrong to them. They haven't seen this video. They don't know the number can be faked. They don't know about data brokers or spoofing services, but you do now. Please send this to them today. Not to support this channel, but because that person needs what you just learned. The most careful, cooperative, trusting people in your life are often the most at risk. Not because they're naive, but because their instinct to be helpful and polite is exactly what these systems are built to exploit. You just changed that for someone you love. You walked through a professional manipulation designed to defeat good people, and you came out the other side with a rule that takes 4 seconds to use and costs nothing to apply. One rule, one hang-up, one phone call made on your own terms. That's the whole shield. And now the person you're thinking about has it too.